Hello, students, and welcome. Today, we are going to break down a very fundamental topic in biomolecules, carbohydrates. This is an extremely important topic for your board exams, so let's dive right in and make sure you understand it perfectly. Now, have you ever stopped and wondered about this? We eat starchy foods like rice and potatoes for energy, but we can't get any energy from eating, say, grass, which is full of cellulose. And the surprising thing is, both are made from the exact same building block, glucose. Today, we are going to solve this very puzzle. So what exactly are carbohydrates? It's really crucial to understand this because you see, they are the primary source of energy for all our cells. This concept is a favorite in board exams, so please pay close attention. Okay, let's start with a very simple explanation. At the most basic level, you can just think of carbohydrates as organic compounds made from only three elements: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And they have two main jobs to do in the biological world. One, to provide immediate energy, and two, to build the structural parts of organisms, like the cell walls of plants. Now, for your exams, here is the formal, textbook-safe definition. Carbohydrates are optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones, or compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis. Now, don't worry if this sounds a little complicated, we're going to break it all down, but just make sure you are familiar with this exact phrasing for writing in your exams. And this brings us to a very common mistake, a place where many students get confused. They think that carbohydrates and sugars mean the same thing, but that's not the complete picture. Yes, simple sugars like glucose are carbohydrates, of course, but so are much larger molecules like starch and cellulose. So the category is actually much broader. To make this concept perfectly clear, let's use a very simple analogy. This will help you visualize how these very different molecules are built from the same basic units, and I promise you, you will never forget it. So I want you to imagine that you have a big box full of Lego bricks, and every single brick is identical. In our case, this single fundamental brick is the glucose molecule. It is the monomer, you see, the basic unit from which we can build much bigger things.
Now, what happens if you take these glucose bricks and you connect them one after another in a simple repeating line, maybe with a few branches here and there? Well, you build a long chain called starch. This is how plants store their energy, and it's the form that our bodies can easily break down for our own energy needs.
But what if you take the exact same glucose bricks, but instead of a simple chain, you arrange them in a very rigid, strong, and cross-linked structure? Well, now you have built something completely different. You have built cellulose. This is what gives plants their structural strength. Just think of wood or cotton fibers. It's the same brick, just a different arrangement.
Okay, so this Lego block analogy brings us right back to our opening question. Now we finally have the tools to understand why we can digest starch, but we cannot digest cellulose.
Now, look at this slide very carefully. The building block for both is the same, glucose. The function is different, of course, energy storage versus structural support. But the most crucial point, the one that explains everything, is the linkage type. You see, starch has what we call alpha linkages, and cellulose has beta linkages. This tiny difference in the 3D orientation of the chemical bond, it changes everything. And this is the reason why. Think of it like this. Our digestive enzymes, they have a very specific 3D shape, just like a key has a specific shape. This key is shaped perfectly to fit into the lock of the alpha linkages that are found in starch, and this allows it to break them down. But that same enzyme key simply does not fit the differently shaped lock of the beta linkages in cellulose. It's a simple case of molecular shape recognition. And this knowledge is not just for passing exams, it has very important real-world applications. Let's take brewing, for example. The entire process starts with starch from barley grains. Then, specific enzymes are used to break down that big starch polymer into its individual glucose monomer units. And finally, yeast is added, which then ferments that glucose into alcohol. You see, understanding carbohydrate structure is fundamental to this entire industry. So let's just conclude by summarizing the most important points from this entire explainer. If you can just remember these key ideas, you will be very well prepared for your exams. Let's recap this in 3 simple points. First, the core idea. Carbohydrates have 2 main jobs, providing energy and building structure. Second, the mental image. Always think of them as Lego blocks. The same glucose brick can build digestible starch or indigestible cellulose. And third, the key reason for this difference. a very tiny change in their chemical links, the alpha linkage versus the beta linkage.
Please remember these three things: the core idea, the mental image of the Lego blocks, and the key example of the linkages. I promise you, if you do, this topic will feel much, much lighter and easier for you to handle in your exams. Keep studying, and remember, you can do it.